When you look at Australia's Great Ocean Road on a map, do you wonder about the best places to stop and what's really worth seeing along the way? Yes, the famous 12 Apostles are iconic, but there are so many other incredible spots and hidden gems you want to know about. In this video, I'll take you through this stunning road trip day by day, highlighting a few locations you've probably never heard of. My name is Michael, let's get started. So the Great Ocean Road is located on the southern coast of Australia. It goes between Adelaide and Melbourne. Normally it's done in 3, 4 or 5 days as a self-drive option. You can also do a day trip from Melbourne to the famous 12 Apostles, which are located here just after Apollo Bay, but that trip is quite a long one, 12 to 13 hours. In this video, we'll go through the trip starting from Adelaide to Melbourne with 3 stops along the way. The trip is around about 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles, and it can be done with any standard car. The road conditions are very good, but we go through individual days and I'll show you the places you really want to stop and to be aware of. So the first day is the longest one. It's around about here 5 hours plus what Google says. You always have to calculate 10 to 15% more on time with Google Maps. That's pretty much a given, but I would suggest to start early in the morning in Adelaide. Pick up your rental cars early as possible or even the day before, so you have a flying start in the morning. Make your way out of town on M1 and just have maybe a quick at Murray River Bridge. This is a famous site here, the Murray River in South Australia. They normally do cruises here, overnight cruises as well, but it's just an opportunity for you to stop and just get a vibe of the area. Then continue further south. I would not recommend here going on the main highway A8, but actually continue south towards the coast. It's a much nicer drive. Have a stop at Meningie here at Lake Albert. It's a beautiful little village. You can have lunch here. There are also some pelicans, some birds. They are perfectly safe to be around. And yeah, it's just one of these places you just want to stop. So again, take your time in the morning and start early. So you drive now along the limestone coast here, right on the ocean more or less, and it's a stunning kind of drive. It's quite straight, so you can make mileage quite nicely. The next place I would recommend to stop is at Kingston. Again, it's a local village, and you know, like all of these South Australian villages, they're very well kept, lovely sites, and well worth again a stop, a lunch or whatever. Another thing you can actually do in Kingston is the tour at the 𝗀𝗃𝗹𝗃 lighthouse, which is located more or less right in the town. From Kingston, continue south, and here is a little village. I really love that. When we traveled along, it's very rural, but it's located right on the ocean. Look at that. I mean, it's a really gorgeous site. If you wanted, you could also have accommodation in Robe instead of Mount Gambier. That's an option for you, because this would make it, you know, even easier with the driving distance on day one. So after Robe, you could either go here on the more inland route, or you continue here on the coastal route, depending a little bit on how much time you have left. But both options are good, and you would arrive in Mount Gambier. Mount Gambier is a fairly larger place. It's about 26,000 people, and it's located on extinct volcanoes. So you have here a lot of caves. You have the Blue Lake, which is one of these extinct volcanoes. Well worth looking around and having a browse. You could even stay a couple of nights here to really properly discover the place. Here's also the famous 𝗪𝗪𝗃 sinkhole. It's also a cave adjust, so there is lots to discover. It's also quite a famous spot for cave diving, so there's lots of accommodation options around here as well, so well worth to consider maybe a couple of nights to stay here. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below to stay in touch for more helpful travel videos to come. Now here's something which is often forgotten. It's actually the wine industry in southern Australia. Here is one you can explore from Mount Gambier either as a day trip, or you could do in the morning before you continue to Port Fairy, your next destination. But it's Coonawarra. It's up here. It's a famous wine area. It's famous for deep red soil, and that obviously creates a specific wine type. Obviously red wines are really strong in that area. So here we have Penola, which is the main village, but it's just a little further north of that village. You have like famous vineyards like 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, and this is well worth it. It's only about 66 kilometers. It's about an hour's drive from Mount Gambier. You could also, if you decide to stay over here in 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, you could obviously do a detour from there. But I would highly recommend, if you're into food and wine, do a day trip in the morning or half a day trip in the morning before you continue to Port Fairy. As you can see, the drive is pretty manageable, and you have again a number of points you want to stop along the way, but it's more or less the village of Port Fairy, full of history, full of arty places, and kind of like boutique accommodation right in the center of town. So you have here a number of beaches here, 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃 Beach, or you have 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗃𝗃 Island. So there's plenty actually to do and to stay. It just depends on your kind of style of traveling. Like here is a lovely boutique accommodation, Oscars. We've been there, we stayed there, so that's lovely. But the other thing you can actually do from Port Fairy is to do a day trip to the Grampians National Park. So here's the drive from Port Fairy into the Grampians National Park. It's about 2 hours one way. So again, I would recommend you start early. It's obviously for people which are interested in hiking, nature, outdoors. Here are some pictures about it. It's very iconic, this national park here in southern Australia. By the way, we're actually now in Victoria, and you need to realize that after Mount Gambier, the time is changing. I've forgotten to mention that before. It's 30 minutes time difference, so you need to add 30 minutes. But anyway, Grampians National Park is obviously a place, if you're into nature, if you want to get a bit of a break from the coastal scenery, then this is an excellent opportunity to hit up inland from Port Fairy. So yet another reason to stay a couple of nights at this place. So day 3 from Port Fairy to Apollo Bay is full of goodies. So this one is really the one which is probably the most impressive of the whole trip. First of all, you traveling out of Port Fairy obviously, but this one here, the Bay of Islands, this is just a beautiful spot. For some, this is actually more beautiful than the 12 Apostles, which come later the same day, because it's much less busy, so less tourists are around. But it's just a beautiful drive. Continue on the coast, and as you can see, there are stops along the way. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and this is where you really want to spend a bit of time. And you continue like the London Bridge, you go through Port Campbell, you go further south, and then you come obviously to the famous 12 Apostles. You have to expect many more people there, so that's pretty common. Again, there's a day tour from Melbourne available as well. It's a very long day though. You can go down there here at the Gibson Steps, which gives you a bit of a different view of the 12 Apostles. But yeah, well worth spending a bit of time in this area before heading further to Apollo Bay. As you can see, it gets a bit more windy. You go a little bit more inland, and just before Apollo Bay, you go through the 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗏 area. There's a number of things you could incorporate. Again, you could stay 2 nights in Apollo Bay to be able to really do the 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 lighthouse, and there are also some other attractions. Otherwise, you just continue. It's a very developed place, Apollo Bay, with quite a lot of accommodation. And yet again, you could easily have a second night here, because there's quite a few things to explore here in the back of this area. Like up here we have the Triplet Falls, which is a stunning walking area, very lush green, but also here the 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 Treetops Adventure, which is more or less a zipline trip and a walk over through the forest and the tops of the forest. So there's lots to discover. So if you have time available for the Great Ocean Road, I would suggest to have a couple of nights here as well in Apollo Bay. Now the last leg on the road, on the Great Ocean Road between Adelaide and Melbourne, you make your way out of Apollo Bay. As you can see, it's around about 200 kilometers or 3 hours plus. Again, you need to calculate a little bit more with Google Maps. And there's one place you would want to stop here at Kennet River. There's actually a koala walk, which is quite cool to do along the way. And there's also other wildlife and bird life especially, so make use of that and have a quick stop there. So there's some pretty cool places along the way, like Lone here. It's a perfect stop for you for having lunch, maybe fish and chips. It's very convenient located. Then you head further north towards 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗃𝗃. Apparently there's a kangaroo tour available at the local golf club, so watch out for that. Further north here at Bells Beach, that is an iconic place in respect of the surfing culture, the beach surfing culture here in Australia. There's apparently also a surfing museum. So once you depart Bells Beach, you more or less want to keep on the main highway and make your way into Melbourne. Melbourne is a completely different kettle of fish. You have around about 5.5 million people living here, so it's a big place. It's actually Australia's largest city by now. So drop off your rental car and maybe stay 2 or 3 nights and explore this beautiful place full of cafes, restaurants, art places. So it's quite a different experience than traveling along the Great Ocean Road. If you want to discover more about Southern Australia, check out my Kangaroo Island video up here. It's Australia's Galapagos, so if you are into nature and scenery, you'll love this place. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video.